Good day, friends. This is Attorney Robert West. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. The topic of this video is, will Kilmar Abrego Garcia finally get freedom and be released from jail prior to his trial for human smuggling? One thing I want to briefly say before we get into the video and a couple other items. Facebook is going to be deleting a lot of older videos. They have a new policy and they're not going to be holding them. I guess they don't want to spend the money on retention. So for those of you that want to go look at my older videos, and I believe this is going to happen in July. For those of you who want to see older videos, you'll need to come to YouTube under Attorney Robert West, and you'll be able to see the, I think we're around 600 videos right now. Bunch of different topics. The channel's been around for a couple of years. Probably I didn't start really pushing too hard until about 4 or 5 months ago. So to give you an idea of where they're at. But if you want to see those videos, the older videos, you're going to have to go to YouTube to do it. And if you're going to come over, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Would really appreciate that. Also, for those of you new, welcome to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please consider doing so. It's free of charge. It'll help us grow a little bit. Okay, now let's get into this. Kilmar Bbrego Garcia, remember, he's the Salvadoran man from Maryland who was illegally and unconstitutionally deported to El Salvador when he had a protective order from being deported to El Salvador. His case went all the way up to the Supreme Court and back down to a federal court in Maryland. And the decision was he was supposed to be, his return was supposed to be facilitated by the Trump administration. He is now here. But the Trump administration, doubling down like they always do, decided they were going to charge him with human smuggling based on a traffic stop from 2022, that there was no arrests, there was a warning given, and they're claiming that his business was human smuggling, not a worker with his hands and a union man. So the question today is he going to get released from jail? Well, on Friday, a couple days ago, they had a hearing. The government filed a motion saying he should not be released pre-trial, because he's being held right now in Tennessee, pre-trial, because he's a danger to the community and he's a flight risk. The federal judge did not accept that. There's going to be another hearing Tuesday, the 25th. Wednesday the 25th. Now, even if the judge orders him released, the problem that Kilmar has is he basically has a deportation order that just protects him from being deported to El Salvador. With that type of order, they can keep him in custody if they want to. And guess what? They want to. This is something that I've talked about in a previous video or two, where if you're charged with a federal crime and the federal judge finds that you're not a danger to the community and not a flight risk, but then it gets over to the immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice, who's not an Article III judge, but works for the executive branch, and they find that the person is a danger to the community or a flight risk or both. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. Happens in state court. State court gives you a bond while your case is pending. Federal immigration judge says, no, you're too dangerous. You're too much of a flight risk. We're not going to let you out. Happens all the time. It is despicable, but somehow, some way, these immigration judges who don't seem to know a hell of a lot about other things make the determination that their counterpart in either the state system or federal system don't know anything and that this person should not be released. So in this case, he will not be released. Government will hold him on that removal order. Now, what happens if he beats the charges? And I believe he has a very good chance of beating the charges, even though where the court he's in is not the best, but it's okay. At least it's a federal court and not a state court. State court, he would have no chance. So what happens? Well, based on what I've observed, this Trump administration has done in the past, was it 150 days since they took office, January 20th or 21st? They have already a third country lined up to send them back to. Send them back to. If not sending them back to El Salvador. That's probably what's going to. So I don't think the guy's going to get out. Now, maybe he can get his case reopened and maybe apply for full asylum, because now he came back. He was paroled in. He's been here less than a year. So now he's eligible for asylum. Or he may be eligible to adjust his status through his wife, his spouse, who's an American citizen. I don't know all the details, and they're not going to share them with me. I don't know how good his lawyers are in Maryland, but considering where they went and come back, they're probably doing an adequate job. And maybe he's got a chance. Maybe if everything gets delayed until Trump leaves office, maybe he'd have a legitimate chance of fixing his status and staying here. I don't know. But do I believe the Trump administration will ever let this guy out? No. They just don't admit their mistakes. They never do. Donald Trump never does. You know, if you remember going back to that election of 2020, he always says, I made a perfect call to the Secretary of State of Georgia, where he asked him to find over 11,000 votes, the exact number he needed to win the election. So there's nothing perfect about this guy. He makes a lot of mistakes. In an upcoming video today, we're going to talk about Iran and the mistakes that he made. Big time mistakes. But that's the way it goes. So unfortunately, and I feel for this guy, he should get out of detention and be allowed to be with his wife. But I don't believe he will. I mean, he should be able to transfer his case to the court in Maryland. It's a federal case. You know, there's not a whole hell of a lot of witnesses. And the witnesses they have against them were guys who were convicted felons serving crazy sentences that will probably say anything if you give them a break on their sentences. So that's the evidence the federal government has. Just like their evidence that he's a gang member because he wore Chicago Bulls gear. You know, considering the Chicago Bulls had won 6 championships with Michael Jordan and the rest of the guys, that created a lot of fandom for the Chicago Bulls. So, all right, guys, that's just my opinion. Feel free to comment, like, share. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It is free of charge. It'll help my channel grow a little bit. And if you need an immigration lawyer, I've been doing this for 26 years. I've had almost every type of case humanly possible. I'll be happy to try to assist you. With that said, guys, have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.